Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Scorpio for August 2018. Go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com. Check out what's new on my blog. If you'd love to learn astrology, check out my astrology education opportunities, as well as all kinds of other goodies on my website. So what's going on in the month of August? We've got Mars, your ruler, still retrograde until the end there when it goes direct. That's quite notable for you. We also have Mercury retrograde and then going direct. We have a third eclipse in our cycle of 3 over the last couple of months. And then we have 2 outer planet trines. We also have a number of annoying squares to deal with in the midst of all this, but those are calling minor annoyances compared to these major blessings. There's so much sweetness at hand this month. If you can get past the minor annoyances, they'll just kind of be par for the course to get to this sweetness that is just so overridingly in your face. So I'm going to talk about why I'm so worked up about this. I'm also going to talk about the eclipses. The third eclipse, which is on August 11th, there were 2 in July. I'm going to talk about how that will manifest for you in your chart, the potentials there. Okay, so why am I so worked up about stuff for Scorpio? So the first reason is because, let's start with Mars. You know, I've been talking about Mars retrograde for a long time. If you don't, if you look back to my recent horoscopes, there'll still be relevance there for you. Also look up my Mars retrograde blog and video. Mars is your co-ruler, and when our ruler or co-ruler goes retrograde, it has more effects on us. So you no doubt will have something notable going on, okay? For some of you, it could be you're finally relaxing and you feel good and you're happy. For some of you, you'll be super frustrated and angry because you're pushing against and not taking my advice, and instead of going with the flow and not pushing agendas, you could have been pushing things which could cause trouble. But and for some of you, especially if you have Mars retrograde at birth, you could have the opposite effect. When everybody else is starting to go backwards, you might turn, light up like the 4th of July and just be crazy productive. But there is this wonderful chance for you to be comfortably productive and to be able to use your energy in new and better ways. And in any case, however it's been affecting you, as of between August 26th and 28th, it's going to go direct. Okay, so whatever the issue is, it's not going to be an issue much longer, although it will take until October 10th before the shadow completely passes. Okay, so now let's talk about this sweetness. There are 2 outer planet trines this month, and one of them also turns into a grand trine. And the reason this is so exciting for Scorpio is because one of the trines is in water and also involves Jupiter, which is in Scorpio. And the other trine is an earth trine, which blends beautifully with the water energies of Scorpio. So either which way, you're getting these awesome vibrations. Everyone has the potential to have awesomeness come from these trines. This is just an in general magical time. But because of the angles that these aspects make to your placements, you have more of a chance to have sweetness come from it. So as I often mention, astrology, even though we can use it for metaphysical and psychological work, it's a science. It's a science that has a basis in math. And the math comes from, in many, much of this math part has to do with angles. Okay, so how certain angles affect things, the energy, the vibration of certain angles. So when there's a certain angle at play, it creates either a super coherent, sweet, awesome energy like we have with these trines, or it can be like difficult, challenging, awkward, and we have some of those. We have quite a few squares this month that are definitely going to be annoying. But the outer planets take precedence, and they actually supersede in many cases these minor annoyances because outer planets are heavier hitters and they take longer to move around. So when they come into a configuration, whether it's a great one or not, they're there for a while. So in this case, it's here for a while. So this trine that is the Earth trine, Uranus and Taurus at 2 degrees, Saturn and Cap at 2 degrees, and then, well, that's going to be happening from the middle of August through the middle of September. So this beautiful aspect, especially, it's going to be great for everybody, all Scorpios too. But if you have early Scorpio placements, like within the first few degrees, like up to, we'll say even like 7 degrees, or your birthday's in like the first week of the sign, this is going to give you extra blessings. Okay, so what does it mean? Taurus, earth sign, Capricorn, earth sign, Virgo, earth sign, grand trine, 3 120-degree angles, major coherence. Things being brought into grounded, stable fruition. That's one of the themes here, because the earth brings that. It's like, it's mundane, it's helpful, it's practical, and it is grounded. And in many cases, it's material. Okay, something else that I like about this is that Uranus and Saturn are known to be chop busters, right? They're like, especially Saturn's going around busting chops and being difficult and heavy and all that. But when he's in this, it's like an old grouchy rich guy in a really good generous mood. That's what Saturn is in a trine, and now especially in a grand trine. Okay, so August 25th or 26th is when the sun comes and joins this configuration that Saturn and Uranus are already making. Okay, so just look out for wonderful things to come. Again, the second half of August, especially, so the first half of September, but especially focused towards the end of August. Okay, the next thing is Neptune in Pisces and Jupiter in Scorpio are making a trine. So the first time this trine happened, it was the end of 2017. So you might notice there's a storyline going on here, so you can look out and see if you can see the pieces of that. The end of 2017, I mean, it was the December-ish, but you might have seen it in the fall, you know, or spring for you all down under. And then it happened again at the end of May, early June. So that's more recent. It might be easier to figure out if something magical or important happened at that point. And now here in August, August 19th, we're going to have this final story. Okay, so again, everyone's going to be affected, all the signs. All Scorpio placements will get an extra blessing from this. And if you have your placements between 10 and 20 degrees, okay, so if your birthday is between around November 2nd to around November 12th, or if you're watching for your rising or your moon sign and you have between 10 and 20 degrees, you're going to get an extra kiss from this, because Jupiter and Scorpio making this trine to Neptune is going to aspect your Scorpio placement, whatever it is there. Okay, so something else notable about this, of course, is that in July, Jupiter and Scorpio went direct. So if your planet, if like your birthday is, let's see, the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, where your degrees are like the 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, this month, you're having Jupiter cross over your Scorpio placement, whether it's your rising sign, whether it's your moon sign, whether it's your sun sign. And for the rest of you that have birthdays after the 9th, until November, you're going to have Jupiter cross over your Scorpio planet, expanding, amplifying, bringing luck, bringing benevolence. And in some cases, yes, Jupiter can sometimes bring madness, mischief, and mayhem when it crosses over certain placements. But the odds of that happening are more restricted to like connecting with an outer planet rather than connecting with an inner planet. Or if you have a difficult angle and it crosses over a planet in that difficult angle, it can definitely expand or amplify or make something worse. It's not the good guy all the time, but overridingly, it's the bringer of luck, the bringer of optimism, the bringer of support, amplification, growth, expansion. So there's a massive amount of that coming for y'all. Okay, so much sweetness. All right, so now let's talk about this third eclipse. So remember the June horoscope I made for you? I talked about the early July eclipse, how that would hit for Scorpio. The July report, I talked about that Aquarius lunar eclipse at the end of July, where that would hit for you. And now we're going to talk about the August 11th eclipse and where that's going to hit for you. I do recommend, if you haven't already listened to my June and July report, that you go back and do that, because sometimes we can have manifestations from eclipses occur after the actual eclipse. Eclipses as an astronomical event happen on a day. Eclipses as an astrological event are part of this longer story, you know, that started at the beginning of 2017, actually, and we'll go through into 2019. We're sort of towards the end of this story that's been going on, but in any case, the manifestation is not restricted to happen on the day. Okay, so solar eclipse 18 degrees of Leo, August 11th. For you, early and some middle degree placements will happen in the 10th house of work and career. To figure out if you're an early, middle, or late degree placement, and you're in the first 10 days of the sign for your birthday, that's early. Second 10 days, middle. Last 10 days is late. 0 to 9 degrees for your rising or moon, that's early. 10 to 19 is middle, and 20 to 29 degrees is late. The reason why I take the time to explain that to you and to risk possibly losing you because you're irritated and you're confused, you don't know what I'm talking about, is because the chart for especially early and late degree placements looks very different. You know, where when you run a chart to look at what's going on, it looks like a pizza pie. The chart looks like a pizza pie. And it's like there are these little pieces, right? So at the earlier part of, you know, because each sign is 30 degrees in it, at the earlier part of the degree, all the placements are falling in a certain way. Let's say there's a cluster of planets here. Well, when you click to the later degree, that cluster of planets that was here goes to a different place. So it doesn't look the same, and we can generalize, and certainly it would be easier to do that, to just say all Scorpios will experience this. But that's not always true, okay? And especially when you're talking about a specific event like an eclipse, which is different than a transit. A transit, at least, yes, all of you will experience it. It'll just be staggered in time. But the eclipse, it's going to happen in a certain place in your chart, and that place is going to be dictated by the degree of your Scorpio placement. Okay, so early and some middle degree placements, you're going to have the new open door opportunity in work and career. This could have something to do with father or father figures, or you becoming an authority figure, but some new door is opening. Because we have retrograde planets at the same time, like Mars and Mercury, at the same time as this eclipse is going on, there could be something new that stems from the past, and that's usually what happens. Sometimes it's totally brand new, it's out of the blue, like, wow, didn't see that coming, didn't work on that, that just came in. But a lot of times when we're entrenched in a personal planet retrograde cycle, when an eclipse brings in something new, as solar eclipses tend to, it will have a tilt to the past. It will be a fruition of something you've worked on. It will be something that you evolved from the past, something having to do with the past. New job, new raise, new business, new anything can come in here. Recognition, fame, things that you worked on finally coming in this really big way. So yay. And very often career and work stuff also have to do with money. So it could involve more money. Sometimes, God help us, we know a lot of people who are famous and they're not rich, right? So fame and richness does not always go hand in hand. But this is like the fame and recognition sector, and in many cases it will tie in with money. All right, so the rest of the middle degree placements and the late degree placements, you'll have this eclipse hit in the 9th house. Now, for those of you who have 9th house based work, you will also experience this as expansion and opportunities in your work sector, career sector, but it's coming in through the 9th house. So if you have work in publishing, writing, speaking, spiritual studies, or, you know, your career is in religion, or anything having to do with international business, international connections, travel, different countries, different cultures, different languages, teaching and learning. So anything with education. If you are in those realms for your work, you may experience new work opportunities because of this coming through this 9th house of Sagittarius. If your work is not in those sectors, you may have something unrelated happen, unrelated to your work happen on the topics that I just listed. Like maybe you have a certain job and on a different topic, totally unrelated, it's a hobby and someone asks you to teach, which is going to happen in many cases for you all. Or you have an opportunity to learn or learn with somebody that you've been wanting to learn with. Also, a random international trip could pop up, or a client from a different country, or something having to do with this international tilt. Also, the 9th house has to do with optimism and faith. So a renewed sense of faith. Now, I know that Scorpio energy on its own, I'm not going to make a blanketed statement and say Scorpio people are such and such a way, because we know every person is way too complex to be able to generalize like that. We all have the entire complexity of the whole universe within us, within each person. So there's no such thing as a superficial person, and our sun sign may have quite a few honest, true manifestations that are very obvious. It's not our totality by any stretch. But in any case, Scorpio energy is not always known for its uplifted, positive perspective. It's more skeptical. It sees the darkness in people, so it looks out for it because it knows it really well. But this energy of Sagittarius is totally different. It's like seeing the good in people naively, or seeing the good in people because of the sake of itself, just doing that, you know, like a Pollyanna type of way of looking at things. But how that can affect you is that you have a new, bright, optimistic outlook about certain things, or something happens in a tangible way, maybe from one of these trines, that makes you feel really good, like something that seemed impossible, that you can actually do it. So like a renewed sense of optimism, or a creative way of looking at things, or a creative solution to a long-standing problem, either for yourself or for the world. So these are the things that are most on my mind for Scorpio. Now I want to talk about dates to look out for with those annoying squares and the other things, and spiritual principles to hold in your heart as you move through August to make the energies that we're surrounded by easier to navigate and easier to really work into creating the things that you want with it. So I'm going to go into all that now. So the theme of the month for August 2018 for all signs is magical alignments and abundant blessings. And that is for a bunch of different reasons. We have so many things going on now culminating into these magical potentials. So we've got Mars retrograde and then going direct around between the 26th and 28th of August. We have Mercury retrograde, and that was starting July 26th, running through August 18th or 19th, depending on your time zone. We have the new moon solar eclipse in Leo. That's going to be on August 11th. We've got 2 outer planet trines, so there's magical things going on there. So we have a full moon in Pisces at 3 degrees on August 26th. So these are a lot of things that are going on. So I want to just give you a little recap of how to use these energies well and hit a couple of dates to note. Also note that the information that I'm giving you, if you are better with written and looking at things visually, you can get a written version of what I'm describing, plus more details about the general transits and aspects for August and every month when you sign up for my free newsletter at anniehelpsyou.com. When you sign up at anniehelpsyou.com, you'll get a resend of all the newsletters I've sent for recent times, so you can catch up with what's going on. And then of course I always send these out a month early so you have them for your planning purposes, so you know the good days, the dicey days, and things like that to make your plans. So the eclipses and the retrogrades are both increasing the odds that things worked of, dreamed of, and planned on in the past will come to fruition now. This is a major time of continued manifestation. The retrogrades are not good for certain things, which you can check out on my website, anniehelpsyou.com, and also check out on my YouTube channel. If you put in Annie Botticelli YouTube, I have lots of videos about Mars retrograde, Mercury retrograde, on the things to avoid during these transits. But there are a lot of things that these retrogrades are really amazing for. And one of them is to let things come to you, is to be the spider. It's like you've woven your web, and maybe you're also weaving a web for future catches in the future, but it's in the backdrop. But you're just letting things come in. You're relaxing, you're stressing the best way you can, you're not forcing things, you can be comfortably productive, but it's more about being the spider and letting your food come to you. Another theme of this month is taking a break from the norm in big and small ways. Even something as simple as driving down a different street to go to work builds new neuronal pathways in your brain. And not only is that good for the longevity of your mental capacities, it's also, when you light up new neuronal pathways in your brain, it activates new energy in your field to bring in new things to you, to break out of old, a matrix, an old matrix. So you can do things different in a small way, or you could do things different in a big way. There's an example that I want to give you about this artist that I know, who is very detailed in his painting, but he was stuck. He wasn't getting paid for his creative work, and sometimes it would take him years to complete a painting. Of course, if you see the painting, it would be like, wow, you can't even believe that somebody could create that, especially with a small paintbrush. But he was stuck. And so during this cycle of the retrograde, he started watching Bob Ross. I don't know if you know Bob Ross, the epic Bob Ross with his epic hair, but you can look him up on YouTube. He basically teaches you how to paint landscapes, and you can watch him paint this amazing landscape picture in like 20 minutes. It's crazy. So he started watching Bob Ross and then started applying this very fast using of the artistic skills to get in and get out and finish things. And because of that, things unlocked for him, and he's had this whole new opportunity for being paid for his artistic work, when before he was stuck in the same old way. But that's how you can use, that's an example of how you can use these retrograde energies to just break from the norm, to open yourself up for more opportunities now from the eclipses and other things, and also in the future. So definitely check out my Mars retrograde blog and video. Definitely check out my Mercury retrograde video. But do know that this month we are carrying those energies, but both of those planets are going direct. So I gave you those dates earlier. If you're traveling now or ever, and you are interested in seeing what the astrology for your travel time is, things to look out for, things to be aware of, you can check out my website, Astrology Kiss Travel Bliss, and I do monthly travel astrology reports on there. Okay, so this long series of retrogrades that we've had for months could be wearing on you, and your patience could be running thin. This plus this notable amount of squares, so I'm calling it minor annoyances with these squares, but major blessings because of these, the solar eclipse and the outer planets coming together in beautiful configuration. But just know that you're going to have a little bit of an open boosting time. So even though the personal planets being retrograde are not going to end this long sequence until like December, at the end of August, beginning of September, you'll have a little bit of a break from the deep retrograde energies, okay? So if certain things have to bubble up, you know, effervescence, just bubbling up, you might notice some momentum and some things starting to pick up at that point. In general, issues with anger at present or past situations can come up strongly, so the more you can not act from a charged space, the more you can prevent yourself karmic repercussions. And also adopting the spiritual recognition of divine timing over your own timing is a major theme that the astrology of this month wants you to bring into your forefront. Everything is happening just as it's supposed to, and you're exactly where you're supposed to be. Okay, so I'm going to hit a couple of highlights of dates to watch. August 1st, we've got a square. Tension can create breakthroughs here, but any way you can break free from something, just try to do it with care and not with anger. August 6th, we have another square, the Sun and Jupiter. So you can feel very proud and capable with this transit, but depending on how you bring that feeling out to the world, maybe it won't be well received. So just kind of watch it, try to tend to not overdo on any level, including spending, food and drink and substances and things like that. On August 7th, we have Uranus going retrograde. That starts at 2 degrees of Taurus and it goes retrograde back to 28 degrees of Aries. So anybody who has placements there, it won't go direct until January 6, 2019. So this is where the planet of change and freedom switches to do deeper work on your inner space. Okay, so either to catch up with changes that have already occurred in the outer realms or to prepare you for future changes that are coming in the outer realms. Also on August 7th, we have a beautiful trine with Venus and Mars. So this is a great little boost here in the midst of some of the annoying aspects. We've got on August 8th, Venus opposing Chiron. So it's very likely to bring up some challenges involving love and money, and feeling like your self-esteem is off or feeling like a victim is more likely at this time. But of course, it always gives us opportunities to have breakthroughs as well. August 8th, we have the Sun conjunct Mercury in Leo, so you can have your creativity ignited. It can fuel romance, it can increase fun, it can also increase ego flares and battles, so just tread lightly on charged topics. August 9th, we've got we have Venus square Saturn. I don't know where July just came from. Anyway, so Venus square Saturn. Whenever Venus, the planet of love and beauty and money, comes together with Saturn, just sort of this hard-nosed, you know, challenge bringer, especially in that type of configuration, it can bring money or relationship issues. So, you know, the need for you to deal with them is going to be higher, but your inclination to avoid them is also going to be high. We've got another square on August 10th between the 10th and the 11th of Mercury and Jupiter. Whenever we have squares with Jupiter, Jupiter is a benevolent outer planet. So even the challenging aspects with Jupiter can be softer than squares with other planets. So it can bring a lot of optimism, but again, with that, like a tendency to overdo, like I have so much energy, I don't know what to do with myself, and then now I just burn myself out or something like that. So just kind of be aware of what you're committing to. August 11th, we've got a solar eclipse, new moon at almost 19 degrees of Leo. So this is time to make your 10 new moon wishes on the topics of Leo. So anything with children, creativity, romance, fun, hobbies, addictions, leadership, acting, anything else that puts all eyes on you. So new opportunities and major new chapters can come in from that eclipse. August 19th, we have this official trine between Jupiter in Scorpio and Neptune in Pisces. So again, this started at the end of December. There's some story that started at the end of 2017. It got strong again at the end of May, beginning of June. And then this is the final connection. So if you have any, especially water placements close to 15 degrees, but really anything that would aspect the 15 degrees there is going to more closely affect you. And you'll feel that trine for quite a while, you know, a while before the 19th and a while after the 19th. August 25th, we have a grand Earth trine with the Sun in Virgo, Saturn in Capricorn, and Uranus in Taurus, and those are at 2 degrees. So if you have any planets at 2 degrees, especially, you know, something that causes an astrological aspect with Earth in those signs, there's going to be more effects for you. August 14th through September 13th, we will very likely feel this beautiful effect. So launches and important things can be great. Even though we're kind of still doing a lot of retrograde energy, if you have to push in something at the end of August, beginning of September, you can ride the coattails of this trine while getting, you know, Mars will be direct as of between the 26th and 28th. Mercury is already direct, so you'll have more momentum here and you might see some really beautiful things happen. August 27th, Mars is direct at 28 degrees of Capricorn. That post-shadow period stretches until October 10th, so it won't regain full oomph until then. But momentum and drive and ambition will definitely, for those of you where it was waning, it will very likely start to return, sometimes to the day. It'll be a little sleepy, but you'll feel something different, like something's waking up. So on August 27th or 28th, depending on your time zone, Mercury will square Jupiter again. We had that square earlier that I mentioned, but because Mercury was in retrograde, then it did it in retrograde, then when it went direct, it did it again. So just be careful of overcommitting. And if you can promise or commit to only a fraction of what you feel like you can do, then you'll be happier, because as time moves on from this moment, your optimism or the reality may set in. And if you commit to something from that high space, then it's going to be hard for you to pull it through. Okay, so these are the things that are most on my mind for the transits in August. Definitely, if you'd love to learn astrology, check out my website, anniehelpsyou.com, for my astrology education options. If you'd like to be a coach as your profession, I would love to help you, teaching you my 6-step formula to getting results. I'm really good at setting and reaching goals, and I'd love to teach people how to do that for themselves and for other people too. If you'd like to bring your business online and have geographical freedom, you may be interested in my Creating Successful Online Business course, which you can also see at anniehelpsyou.com. Remember that if you would like a written horoscope from me, often with different things than I talk about in the video, you can go to cozybysweetstarlight.com. At cozybysweetstarlight.com, you will see blogs featured from people, up-and-coming bloggers, also from myself, and my horoscopes are featured there. But there are a lot of different lifestyle blogs there that I think you will enjoy. So check that out. Go to my husband's website, IamHelios, IamHelios.com, to learn tarot. Also, he does astrology readings, tarot readings, and other cool things you can see on his site. So I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.